What's up, y'all? Fred, you had a cool story we were coming in on.
Yeah. No, I like the little super guy, in the
Thanks.
corner with the
Thanks.
intelligent masculinity. It's like,
Yeah.
and he's up and there he is again. I love
Yeah,
it.
he's staying up in the top corner and he moves around a little bit too.
I love that. He's just like, yeah.
It's happy masculinity.
I
What's up,
know,
y'all?
right? Like I'm pumped. No,
Dude, what a fucking weekend.
I was on a business trip in Orlando. I went to Sinflow, Central Florida Film Festival.
Oh,
We got an
awesome.
invite. Yeah, I got an invite, and I actually got to present the award for best horror short. It was pretty dope,
Oh, that's cool shit.
and I was like, all right, I'm taking the weekend off. Like I'm unplugging. I'll come back, and my phone started blowing up. And like folks were sending me the video, and I got hit up by Christopher Goldsmith, and I was literally in Mount Dora, Florida. And I was like, well, I have a phone. I'm not going to be anywhere near a computer for hours. I was like, I got to make something for this guy. Like, as soon as they said,
As soon as
pretty
they
much,
asked,
yeah, as soon as they asked and they told me he's an ICU nurse, I was just like, at the VA,
yeah,
I was like, man, you're kidding me. Because you and I, but we have like if you've been to the VA, like you've dealt with the nursing staff, and out of all the things the VA puts you through,
the
like
nurses are good.
from the administrative side, which is just paperwork and filings and rejection of claims and all this, the nursing staff doesn't act that way.
No.
Like they treat veterans with a lot of respect. And
Yeah.
so
They
when it was
actually
like,
care.
yeah, they do. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going in this parking lot and making a video, and doing what I can.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a buddy of mine who, my business partner, he's former Philadelphia SWAT, and we were talking about this. And, I said, these freaking ICE guys are a bunch of cowboys. And he said, no. He says, I've worked with cowboys, actual operators. I was an operator. I worked with guys who were hard drinking, taking doors, busted marriages, like sleeping around with all kinds of women, all that. I mean, real cowboys. And he's like, they would never, ever do this. These guys are cowards.
Yeah, they hide behind
Cowards.
masks.
Yeah. Well, the guy had a cell phone in his left hand up, and they took the weapon away, and then
Yeah.
they shot him. And now they're saying they didn't even put him in the position to render CPR because they're not trained. And then they're counting the bullet holes, like they're playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man.
Like that Call of Duty statement too. That happened. I don't know if you saw that video. There's like a short clip where it was some dude was like, it's kind of like Call of Duty, fun, isn't it? And it's like, bro, these are real lives and real people. You are fucking hurting. And Alex Preddy was fucking executed he saved someone else's life. He gave his life to save somebody else's life. He didn't mean to, but he gave his life doing exactly what he did, which was helping people while he was.
And
alive.
I mean, you look at the video, man, and a lot of people have pointed this out, and you know this, man, from the training you've gone through and I've gone through is, you've heard the phrase, in a stressful situation, you fall back on your highest level of training, right?
Yeah.
If it's nothing, then
they have zero fucking training.
Yeah, if it's nothing, you're gonna panic. You look at how Alex Preddy handled himself. His concern was with the woman he was trying to help.
Yeah.
As they were beating the hell out of him and ultimately snatched his life away.
Yeah.
And it had me reflecting, like, because one of the things in Stoicism, and you read about it, I think it's from Seneca, and we've heard this, right? I mean, you train with like military bearing or, this and that. And it's just like, under those moments of stress or where you have something to lose, maybe not your life, but something else, is like, are your principles going to hold up? Like, how are you going to acquit yourself? And us veterans, we have, you go through this, man, you have a different way of looking at the world. It's like, it's tragic and horrible how when and where and how Alex Preedy met fate, but how he met it, there's no shame in that.
No,
I mean, he stuck to his principles to the very end, and he lived a life in service to others. It's like, you want to talk about intelligent masculinity, like, that's the bar.
Yep.
Not those not those cowards wearing masks and with the gun and everything else. Like the guy who is an ICU nurse and was protecting a woman until they snatched him. They took his life.
10 fucking shots. That's not defaulting on training. That's defaulting to video game setting.
Yeah, that's it.
That's 10 fucking shots is unloaded. They unloaded a clip. Real training, you're shot to double tap, maybe 3 times at most, like 2 to 3 times. Once you get past that, they start asking a lot of questions. That's in the military, you go to UCMJ, like, if you shoot somebody too many times, boom, you are under investigation for a war crime.
I was a private, a PFC with infantry training in the reserves, and every Marine is a sentry, right? You get the general orders. You still have classes on the authorizational use of deadly force.
Yeah.
Right. In a combat zone, right? If you're deployed.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the basic
rules of engagement.
Yeah, rules of engagement. The rules of engagement are basically mirroring. Like, you don't act first, you do what they do. Right? If he draws,
we had to be actively shot at in Afghanistan before we could shoot back. Like, the enemy had to be shooting us before we could shoot back. Oh, I'm backwards. Interesting. I forgot to remirror my. Sorry, everyone. Flag was backwards. Unintended.
Woo!
Unintended.
Well, no, the wind was blowing the other way.
Yeah, the wind was blowing the other way. I was actually fixing my beard before. I was brushing my beard out, and doing it in the unmirrored way is really disconcerting. Like, it doesn't feel natural to not see yourself mirrored when you're trying to, like, groom yourself. I don't know.
I need you to talk me out of it, because this summer, like, my barber, who's a woman, a younger woman, she's been like, are you gonna chop your beard down, down. And I was like, maybe in the summer I'll do it, but
I'm gonna keep the edges in right now. I'm trying to grow some length on the side, so, like, it's a little bit fuller, because I don't really ever trim the bottom of my beard. I know we went way off topic and derailed.
No, this is
important right now. To healthy masculinity is being able to groom yourself.
Right.
I don't ever trim. I have, like, this is going to sound weird. I was told this by a barber once, is I have the perfect neckline for a beard, because it actually stops on my jawline and, like, neckline where it hinges. So I don't have that line of hair that travels from my neck to my chest like a lot of men do.
Stops at the Adam's apple, kind of.
Yeah, mine stops way up here, like, it outlines my bone structure, and
mine's right at the Adam's apple.
Like, it's neat because I don't have to trim the bottom side of my beard like a lot of men do to keep it in tow. So I'm like, I can be super lazy, and all I do is the top. And I'm just trying to grow some length.
Fluffy. It just.
I
get the the 19th century. Like,
we do both have the same similar gray pattern, though, going. Like, I'm getting it on both sides of my my chin here.
It's funny because that actually went, like, the gray streaks I had, like, my beard was, like, sort of brown, and then I had these 2 streaks of red that were just like this. Yep. And that's what this white used to be. It used to be red.
That it's so funny because that is exactly what happened for mine. Is I have
Yeah.
really dark brown, blackish hair, and it went red and then white. I was like,
Yeah,
that's weird.
that's and that's what went white first. It's is the red's now gone, and so I have these
Yeah,
white
I've
white
gotten
beard
used to it. I
trails.
like it. I like it.
Yeah. I mean,
It's getting more distinguished.
I
All right,
know,
friends. So we have some time today. We're just having some fun getting into it. Also, acknowledging the incredibly difficult news that happened this weekend. Like I spent 4.5 hours on Banner and Backbone broadcasting it, and then watching that. I think I watched the murder like 100 fucking times.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm not. I
You
can't.
don't.
I saw slivers of it here and there.
You don't need
And
to.
I just didn't want to. I already knew what was going to happen.
You've seen enough. Like
Yeah,
you've seen the horror enough.
I've seen the stills of him with the left hand up in the phone, and I'm just like
watching from the view of the woman behind, where you can clearly see everything that's going on, where you see him come in and try and help that woman or that other individual get away after, and then he gets pepper sprayed in the face and then put on the ground and cuffed, and then his gun taken away. Nobody acknowledges, like the dude. Part of that training too is if you are disarming somebody, when you pull that weapon away, you say weapon away or gun off or gun safe. Like you tell everyone around you.
Did the supervisor really need to run off when you had that many guys around him?
Yeah, like you could have just said like, whoop, let's
let him up.
Gun is gun. We are safe. Gun safe. Like disarmed. That's all you had to say. And everybody else could have stopped. And you could have been like, he's safe. It's over.
Yeah, because you know what they did? They sent him to 47 days at the target range.
Yeah.
And maybe some CQB bullshit. And some because again, we've gotten to this place in masculinity where it's just oh, if I have the power to do something, I should do it. There's no concept of restraint. There's no concept of kindness or gentleness, like none of that, right? Restraint's not even a word, because we've gotten to a place in this culture where we're like weak men are the ones that are leading, like influencing other men to be weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
so that's why we're here. Like, that's why we're having these discussions.
Just the concept of intelligent masculinity. Like, when was the last time you heard a manosphere influencer to tell these guys to go to the library to read different perspectives, right? I mean, you remember General Milley, when he was talking about, they asked him on a congressional committee, oh, have you read Marx? Have you read this? Is like, I read all kinds of stuff. And when I was in the military, I mean, like, in the Marine Corps back in the 90s, they had the commandant's reading list. I read where the commandant of the Marine Corps says every Marine should read these books. Mm-hmm. And some was sci-fi, it was just literature that he was just like, you should read this. I read Rifleman Dodd. I read I think Rifleman Dodd was on it. Rommel's The Tank in Battle was on it. And what was Starship Troopers?
Yeah, that one's
the book was on it.
Yeah, that's on the list for Army Officer Corps reading list too. Like, that's a huge one. I also think people misunderstand the meaning of the actual movie Starship Troopers. It's a parody on fascism. Like, it's meant to be taken as what it is, as a parody. All right, I'm gonna pause us for a second on the interview. Thanks to folks in the chat who dropped a link. Frank, Yanni, thank you for your support here. On this one is, someone is now in critical condition in Arizona after being shot by U.S. Border Patrol in Pima County. The individual has not been identified. They are alive. From this reporting, happened at 7:30 a.m. in Mountain Time. Arizona time, whatever time that is. Sorry, y'all. Circumstances leading to the incident were not immediately clear. There's no information whether anyone from law enforcement was injured in the incident. This is from NBC News that I'm reading this off of. Department of Homeland Security did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
Oh, they
Patient,
didn't automatically say someone's a terrorist without
yeah,
knowing any facts, or
yep,
oh
they
wow,
didn't. Interesting about that.
wow,
Patient care was. It's probably because they're not dead. To be honest, the
yeah,
only times they've ever done it is when the person died.
yeah,
Um,
so yeah, because they want to dodge
So, because they
accountability.
can't fight back and they know that it's harder for families to fight defamation cases than it is for an individual to fight it. So, I think they hold back just a little bit when the person's still alive. That's just me. Patient care was transferred to a local medical helicopter for rapid transport to a regional trauma center, the fire department said. The incident remains under active investigation by law enforcement agencies. So, as this grows and stuff comes out about this, if anyone wants to drop information in the chat while I'm doing this interview, I don't want to stop my interview with Fred until we know more. Or if this becomes a major incident, like what happened in Minnesota became a major incident.
Yeah,
If there's more about it, please send links. Let me know. I do want to make sure we talk about things like this, especially any shooting is important at this point. Any attack, any incident of violence is important because
yeah,
it's weak masculinity. It's masculinity behind a mask. It's fragile. It's hidden. And I think this conversation is now more important than ever. These types of
yeah,
conversations are more important than they were a week ago.
yeah,
They were more important now than they were before Renee Nicole Good was murdered. Now they're more important. Now they're even more important because these people are getting away with doing acts of incredible violence without any accountability and out without any consequence to their actions or their values. And that's a huge issue. And I wanted, and Fred Poag, hey y'all, we haven't even introduced the show yet today, but most of you know us.
yeah. That's
Smash the
true.
heart while
Yeah,
you're in here. Help us
yeah,
get some more folks into the chat because I think this is going to be a wonderful and interesting discussion. I know there's a lot of other things going on, but intelligent masculinity is a huge issue right now, and I'd call it an issue because men are in crisis of our own making, and it's
yeah.
on us to solve it, not anybody
Right.
else. It's on us to solve it. And Fred Poag is someone that I got introduced to. So I'm Nick Paro, host of the Sick of This Shit publications and the Sick of This show. This is the Intelligent Masculinity series. I'm joined by my good friend and colleague and intelligent male and original Wizard Council member, and just someone I found here on Substack naturally
Yeah.
through Melissa Corrigan and Dana Dubois and Lawrence Winterman. We got introduced, and you you have added to my life in a good
Oh,
way.
thanks, man.
Your
Same.
presence has added to my life, and I'm really glad you're here with me. And I'd love for you. I know most people know you, um, but for those who don't, and just for posterity's sake, can you introduce yourself for everyone, just a little bit on who you are, and
Yeah.
then we're just going to keep talking because it's going to be a great discussion. I've got some questions for you. We've got some great folks in the chat. What's up, Evan Fields? Go follow Evan Fields. He helped inspire this series with his article on the scholar warrior mentality. And I think it's really awesome. And he's become a good friend too. So go follow my buddy Evan Fields and subscribe to both me and Fred Poag. Fred, introduce yourself, dude.
Hi, what's going on, everybody? I'm Frederic Poag. So I'm I'm 1 year away from 50 years old, which is kind of amazing. I
Mm-hmm.
just had a birthday. I just turned 49. I was a former Marine reservist. I was in the infantry. Hurt my knees in a training accident, and then I went to school, got a master's in history and American foreign policy. Um, I was supposed to be a security analyst in the Department of the Navy, but sequestration with Boehner and the Republicans underneath Obama kind of killed that. And I ended up getting into aviation for a little while. I was an operations manager. And during the pandemic, I came home because my sister needed at that time, needed a full-time caregiver. And my mother was starting to need a caregiver because she had dementia, which we didn't know at the time. Um, and so I ended up being a caregiver for a little while. And then I made a transition to becoming a writer and a producer in entertainment, just kind of by just kind of happened. So I actually never wanted to, I never thought about being on Substack or doing lives or doing any of this. I was on a business trip. Actually, it was in November. It was when Kamala lost. And I had a Substack that I tried to start back in July of that year of 2024. And I just never, I think I wrote like half an article and I didn't do anything. And it sat there for like 6 months or whatever, until November. And I remember this just sense of just disappointment and just these horrible feelings I needed to get out. And so I wrote my first piece and I was like, well, I'm just going to write for myself. Nobody's going to read it. And I just kept putting it out. Yeah. That's what I thought. I was like, well, I'm just going to write for myself and just whatever I want to write about, I'm just going to put it out. And that's how Missives from Middle-Aged Man came to be. And I did my first live because I was pissed at Chuck Schumer.
Who isn't pissed at Chuck Schumer?
Right.
When aren't we pissed at him?
It was the CR that came up. And and he stood strong for like 10 seconds. He said, "You don't have the votes." And they said, "Okay, well, we'll just, blame you. Okay, you can have the votes." And he lowered it and got rid of cloture or the filibuster.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was so mad because I was like, why did you act like you're going to fight and you're not going to fight?
Yeah.
And so I did my first live and then I just started doing the rest of them before, I met other folks here and I'm still amazed that anybody wants to hear what I have to say on anything. So,
bro,
it kind of blows my mind.
You and me both. So the imposter syndrome that I feel every day. And I'm like, do people really like the poetry I had been writing before? Like, do people really like what I'm talking about? And then,
well, I write poetry too, so I like it.
Thanks, brother. I'm glad you like it. I haven't written in a little while.
You do music production, which I'm like, I appreciate music, but like I couldn't tell you scales from anything. And it's one of the things it's one of the things I'm like, that and actual painting that I kind of want to pick up.
Oh, you should.
Yeah, something that I'm getting into this, like, I want to be a Renaissance man where it's like I want to work on another language, play an instrument, learn music, and because I love music.
All things that just are so fun.
What's fascinating, like talking about the intelligent masculinity. So I'm doing the online dating thing again.
Mm-hmm.
And, the thing that gets me the most reactions online is I have a picture with my cat Momos. And that's the picture that always and I was talking to a woman yesterday and we were just kind of, chopping up, going back and forth. And we were joking. We said, okay, like meaningless, controversial opinions and, like stuff. And I said, oh, well, men should go to a barber. Women can go to a salon. Right. Like my barber's a woman, but the reason I don't like to go to a salon is they don't do clippers. And so they have no idea what, one setting, no guard, any of that means. And, so I don't go to a salon. So my joke is like,
they're trained differently.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like all the stuff that doesn't really matter. That's when, or like, I'm a Chicagoan when it comes to hot dogs, where it's like, once you get past 14, you can't have ketchup on a hot dog. It has to be mustard. Little dumb stuff like that, which I don't take seriously. But here's the point I'm getting to is like, she said, what's a serious controversial opinion you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, it's stuff that shouldn't be controversial, but is in our society, like things like I don't believe in gendered work, right? I don't believe in women's work, man's work. There's just work, right? I believe in equality of like sexes and non-binary. Like I think people, LGBTQ, whoever, should be able to, have space and live the life that they do. Like, and I just kind of went down the list. It's like, and she's like, well, none of these are controversial. I was like, actually, sadly enough, they are, and they should be, like things of like, like is a femme, like, a supposed femboy or is that, or, and they say, oh, I consider myself a man. Is that masculinity? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not a gatekeeper to masculinity. There's my kind of masculinity.
Yeah.
But it's not exclusionary. There's all different kinds. And I actually like that because, it expands the notion of what of masculinity is. But again, that's considered woke and controversial and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not.
It's
freedom.
Not.
Like, isn't that what we're supposed to be all about? Freedom.
Yeah. It's
right.
Isn't like basic dignity an easy thing?
Yeah.
Like, I get basic dignity. Shouldn't other people?
Yeah.
Like Lawrence Winterman has told us before, and we used to talk about it, is like, if you're gay, you have to come out all the time. Like, you don't just come out once. You come out every day, because people ask you about it and people question you and people don't give you space. Like,
no,
nobody comes up to you and goes, "Oh, are you straight? Oh, that's weird. What is this? What is this heteronormative relationship you're in? You don't look straight. You look gay as shit."
Yeah.
Start doing that to people, and I bet you they'll stop questioning gay people.
Or they'll be really upset.
Or they'll be really upset at you.
Yeah, they'll take it as an insult, which it's absolutely not. Like, and that's why I always
that's not natural. Oh, that's so weird. Like, just use it like, because you could look at monkeys. Let's say monkeys, our closest relatives in the animal kingdom, a version of the monkey or whatever. I don't know the specific subtype, whatever. I don't know the family and genus. I'm sorry, y'all. It's been a long time. But like, take our closest relatives. There's a lot of gay monkeys out there. So how presumptive is it of us to assume that that's not the standard sexuality and reproduction is only the secondary sexuality? Like, who's to say that gay isn't the primary sexuality and you only are straight or are only attracted to those on a biologically other side of the gender spectrum or physiologically or whatever on the other side of the gender spectrum than you, only because you want to reproduce or you find that person in your spectrum of origin. But we could turn it around on them. Turnaround's fair play.
For me, it's like, why do you care? Like, I mean, even let's just say,
care?
Yeah, even if it wasn't, baked in genetically, right? Like, you were born a certain way or whatever. Why do you care? What's it hurting you, right?
It's ego jizz.
It is. Like, why do you care? Like, but beyond that, do you really think that, people would go through all the transphobia if they really didn't feel that way? I mean, there might be one person out of all the trans people in the world that's like, no, man, I really feel like the gender I was born in, but I'm still going to go through this because of blah, 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 blah. Right.
Yeah.
And all the oppression, all the, stigma, all that, so for me, I'm like, man, if you feel like there's so many people in this world that don't feel strongly about anything and just kind of move through it. It's like, if they feel that strongly about it, I'm like, man, go ahead. You're not hurting me.
Yeah.
That's
whatever, man.
That's the biggest problem with masculinity these days, man, is like, men are not taught to be comfortable in what they're trying to do. They're taught to oppress everyone else to try to make their insecurity and their weakness palatable to them. Instead of saying, bro, why are you getting butt hurt by an intelligent woman?
Mm-hmm.
Are you afraid you're not intelligent enough? There's a cure for that. Go get intelligent.
Yeah.
You know?
Good good segue into, I got some questions for Fred today.
Oh,
Fred's going to answer
I
some
didn't
of my
study
questions.
teach.
He didn't study up. So this is going to be fun. None of these are I gotcha questions. These are all things that we've been talking about.
I did read it. I read the poetry thing, or the song lyric thing is fun.
Yeah.
That's
So it's based on Mulan's "I'll Make a Man Out of You." Is part of the series, because that's the clarion call. That's the call to action for men. It's the "Let's Go Girls" of men, and at least for
like
the men's choir community, it was, and like the theater kid community growing up. Like, "I'll Make a Man Out of You" is like, let's go. And we did.
I want to put, but I want to do the other one. I want to put the makeup on my face and walk around and say, "Please bring honor to us." You know, that's what that's how I'm going to hit on women. It's like, you know, be my girlfriend, bring honor to me and my.
Please bring honor to us all. Please, you bring honor to us all. All right, so shoot. I got some good questions for Fred. Some of them are not based on Mulan. Others are. And we're just going to have a good discussion. Fred, are you hard stop at the top of the hour, or do you have a little bit extra time?
We're okay. We're good.
So we're going to go for a little while, y'all. Let's have some fun. Let's get into intelligent masculinity and some of the really fun things we're going to be talking about at the end are more whimsical on Mulan. But let's first get into it. This first question is actually a two-parter. I did not write the second part down. Because it's more of a trick question, more of a trick to see what happens in the first part.
Okay.
Who has been the most influential male figures in your life and why? This can be for a negative or a positive reason.
I mean, honestly, like, you know, one of the first is my dad, for both good and bad. Right. And so, you mean, your dad's usually your, you know, like, at least for me, he was, you know, the guy who's like the most influential. Like, I learned like fairness and, you know, not like pushing back against authority for what's right, taking principled stands from him. But I also got like his anger and, you know, some of the like, you know, like lashing out and the toxicity with that I had to undo, you know, because he got that from his dad. And that was one of the things that helped me unpack that was, you know, he and I got to where we really butted heads when I was a teenager. And years later, after he died, like, I reflected on it about how his dad treated him, you know, and his dad was even worse, like my paternal grandfather. And so it was kind of, when you start getting that sort of historical perspective, when you get that, you realize like, oh, he did the best he could. It was still messed up in some ways, you know, because my dad and I actually got into actual physical fistfights, you know.
Never went there with my dad.
I got into like in my high school, when I was in high school, like, I think he threw me out of the house junior and senior year at least 3 times because he got mad at me about something. I back talked, and, you know, so he tossed me out of the house, and, you know,
that seems like an unnatural consequence to a problem.
Yeah,
we believe in natural consequences. That feels unnatural.
Yeah, no, he tossed me out, and like I ended up having to walk like 6 miles or 10 miles to, you know, buddy's house and crash there. Or like one night I just, like, I was pig-headed. It was summer, so I slept in the yard, you know. Like, I just curled up under a tree. I just went under a tree, you know.
Camping, and I guess.
Yeah, and then we got in a fist fight, you know. It wasn't like real intense. It was just what the Southerners call tussling, you know. Like, you know, you're not really throwing blows to harm. You're just throwing blows to throw blows, you know. See, tussling. But, I mean, that's kind of when it started. And I think it was just sort of like, you know, there was that respect and fear, which I think was like, that's one of the things that you got to unplug from toxic masculinity is you can have respect without fear. You know, you don't need the fear part. In fact, the fear part is detrimental to it. And so, but the interesting thing about that was, like, my dad I think he told me like he loved me twice in my life, like 2
Really?
times. Yeah, twice.
That
Um,
sucks. I'm
no,
sorry.
well, what the interesting thing was like when I got older, like starting about 9 years old, my dad was a federal manager and he was a really good one. He always stood up for his people and everything else. Like he treated like other people better than his family in a lot of time, a lot of ways, you know. And my mom asked him
Mm.
about that once, and she said, "Why do you do that?" And he says, "Well, you know, the family's got you. These people don't have anybody." Like,
What?
so
So what?
yeah, that was the logic, right? It's like, you know, dad's like, but I think it was just he didn't know, like a lot of men that grew up in that era, he didn't know how to like show affection, right? It
Yeah.
was all I gotta do is provide food and a roof over your head. You don't back talk, and that's it. That's where my obligation is done, right? That's my job, you know.
Yeah.
Protect and provide. That's it. And so, but I
No
think there was
support
a
or defend in there.
yeah, but there was like but my dad, there was a part of him I think that wanted to show that because he did at times when I was a kid, but I don't think he knew how to do that as I was coming into my own manhood.
Yeah.
And I remember about the time I started, I was 9 years old. Like he just would just break out these, like he'd say, "Son, if you ever find yourself managing people," and then he'd give me some life lesson. It was a really good life lesson. And a lot of it was about like trying to find ways to say yes, always take care of your people. Don't ever take from them. Don't take their food. Don't take their pay. Don't take credit for what they do. Like really kind of like positive, uplifting stuff that he lived by in his professional life, but not always in his family life, you know? And so, you know, my dad, like a lot of people, like a lot of real people, was just complicated. You know, he had traumas he never dealt with. And,
Yeah.
you know, like he was really bad on my sister. Like I got it some, like we both got it, but she got it even worse than I did, you know? And that was actually one of the reasons we got into a fight was he had said some really mean stuff to my mom and I just put my foot down. And then he was like, "You're not gonna tell me how to treat my wife." I said, "And another thing is how you treat my sister, blah blah blah." And then we just went to blows, you know. And part of
Yeah.
me, I should have said back then, I was like, "Well, you raised me to be this way, and you're being a jerk, so too bad," you
Well,
know.
you should have been like, ain't nobody ever gonna treat my mama that way.
What I told him, you
Like,
know.
fuck you, man. Like my
Seriously, I mean, it was like I was about 17, and I got, you know, I was going in the Marine Corps, and about that time, you know, I was like, I was taller than
yeah, you were
him.
a piss ass anyway.
Yeah, I was like, all right, you know, and you know, I'm shaking the whole time because it's your dad, you
Yeah.
know, and so it's interesting. Like I kind of looked like as I, you know, I had this journey as I was going into manhood later, you know, after his death. He died when I was 21 from cancer, and I had this like I'm simultaneously trying to go through the process without therapy, but just trying to, you know, heal from all this trauma, this family trauma,
Mhm.
and be better and be more patient, less angry, less triggered. But then also taking the lessons he taught me to be a good leader, right? So
Yeah.
on the one hand, I'm borrowing this from him, and I'm trying to shed or be better on this other part, you know. So, yeah, you know, and out of all the people I met, it was him. You know, like I would say, bar none. You know, he's an interesting guy. You know,
Well, interesting is a good can be a good thing. And the way
yeah,
you're putting it at least isn't all negative. And you
he had good.
learned plenty from him.
Yeah, he had good qualities, and then he had some horrible stuff, right? You know, and that's the hard
Mhm.
part when you deal with people. You know,
Are you the
is
oldest or
oldest. Yeah,
okay? Yeah.
I
So
got a younger sister by 3 years.
okay, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I just wanted to make sure. And how old are you so that we get this for
49.
49? Okay. Just so we get for posterity, you're somewhere on the high mid range of or middle range of our age group because we've had from 19
Wow.
to Sherrod Swaney is 19. He the found one of the co-directors over at Center America. Dude is 19 years old and kicking ass.
Isn't that crazy? These
Yeah,
youngins, man. Wow.
he's young and he's like I've learned from him, and he's had some really good experiences. And then we've had Lawrence, and we've had Dr. Eric Lulov with us, who are on in their 50s. Like we're having a breadth of community. Evan's roughly my age, in his 30s, late 30s. Like the whole group is like spread, and it's cool to see how we've aged into it differently, but how our experiences all follow like a similar like themology
Yeah,
of
yeah.
of that. I also think you being the oldest on your side, I'm the youngest of three, but my
Oh, okay.
oldest brother is 14 years older, 14, 15 years older than
Wow.
I am. And so he had a very different dad experience than I did. And
Yeah.
we have a very different relationship as adults too, than with our dad than each other. Like my friendship with I have a friendship with my dad, whereas my brother and my dad are more, they're very
Yeah.
similar to each other, so they butt heads a lot. And I love you, dad, and I love you, brother. I won't out your names, um, but y'all butt heads too. Like
Yeah.
to you. Uh, what building of this because but I digress. Building off of
Yeah.
all this discussion is because I think I had a very different dad than um my brother did, but my brother did we lose audio? um
No, you're back. You were going through a little bit of. Can you hear me?
oh, did I do blah 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 blah, blah for a little
Yeah,
bit?
yeah. It kind of was just, but we got
Oh
through it.
yeah, I got kids. It's snow days, so kids are playing Minecraft on the realm. We have a Minecraft realm that I've had forever, um, and I've been playing Minecraft since it came out. And my kids, and my friends' kids find that crazy. And I remind them that I'm older than Google, and they're like, "No, you're lying." I'm like, "Yep, I'm older than Google. I'm older than the
You.
iPhone." Like we're both older than those like standard devices. But anyway, as we digress.
I love telling the youngins about how dating used to be, right? Which is fun. Where it's like, I was like, yeah, man, back in the '90s, you had to figure out where the women were going that day of the week, and then you had to go to that place, right? Make sure the fit looked good and everything else, and then you had
Mm-hmm.
to go cold talk to them. Just go up and say, and hopefully you'd strike up a conversation enough to where you could get a number, call them later, and they had to actually be in the physical location of the phone to hear it and
Yeah.
pick up. Then you have a conversation on that, and then maybe you'd have, like, you get lucky and you get a date, and then you go from there.
Or
You,
like the
you
fear of calling the landline and having their parents pick up, or having like their dad pick up for the first time. And you're like, oh, this is so awkward. Like I'm such an
excuse me,
awkward
Mr. Johnson.
person.
I'm calling for Sarah. Who is this? It's
Who
Frederic.
the
What's your last name, son? Poag. Frederic Poag. You know. Are you in her
yeah.
grade?
Yep. Like I get it. I got a daughter. Like I get it.
Yeah.
And I remember looking back on it. It's so funny. So growing on our like influential figure in your life, second part of this question,
Yeah.
because we've also found the importance of not just the male figure or a masculine figure in your life, is who has been the most influential feminine figure in your life. Maybe I'll reframe these questions from male figure and female to who has been the most influential masculine figure, because masculinity doesn't always equate to sexuality.
Hmm.
And um, and yes, I served in the military. Answer to the question in the chat. Um, is who is the most influential or one of the most influential feminine figures in your life?
I mean, like part of it is like obviously my mother's one, like just for I grew up with her and seeing like things she went through. We didn't have a good relationship coming up, a lot she kind of doted more on my sister because my dad didn't really, like she was like, well, your father's taking care of you, I got to take care of Adrian. Well, my dad really didn't take care of me that much, so I kind of grew up feral. But my mom kind of took over my sister's life when she started in 5th grade. But my mom, like seeing what she went through, like after my dad's death, having to handle like losing a house, her battling cancer twice, and what her like stuff that went on in her family that was bad, and then ended up with dementias. Like there's kind of it's always like tough, like but you put perspective into it. So I had to learn like compassion and forgiveness, just dealing with her. But funny enough, like as I look back on it, I've had good I've had good and bad masculine and feminine leaders, right?
Hmm.
I've had good examples of both, and I've mentors in both, and I've had bad examples in both.
Yeah.
And but it's funny because like some of the women that I've worked for that were in leadership positions, the like they I think they had in some ways more of like the caring for the folks, and like really kind of taking that I think they like two come to mind that really had a big impact on me and how I kind of approached life, like being a little softer. In fact, one of them, I remember when I first started managing an office in graduate school, and I had the only concept of leadership I had at that point was the military, right? And so I was talking to these
Not
young,
always a great
yeah, I was talking to these
example.
young, undergraduates, and here I am in my early 30s, and they're like 19 or 20, and and I'm like very much like, hey, I need you. It's like, hey, I need you to go upstairs. I need you to do this. Well, like it was kind of like that, right? Very
Yeah.
direct, monotone, and I'm doing it thinking, okay, well, you know, uh, like that's gonna fly, right? Because like, oh well, you can't get mad at me because I'm just flat. I'm not, you know. And I got complaints like they said, yeah, you're really aggressive and you're, just standoffish. And of course, my first reaction was like, what the heck are you talking about? Blah, 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 and my boss, who's a woman, she's like, just be nice. Just, say, hey, how y'all doing? Da, da. I said, I'm not doing that. I refuse to do that. But I actually, so then I was like, oh,
And then
so
you
I
did it.
went, I went in the office and I thought about it. And I came back out. I said, okay, I'll do it. So then I started going, hey guys, I wonder if I can get you help on something, and so I ended up kind of softening it, and that's kind of where I started to learn how to sort of be what the situation requires you to be, because that's one of the important things about leadership, right? It's
Yeah.
the military teaches, because the military puts you in this environment, everybody's wearing a uniform, there's rank structure, there's this. So most leaders are like one way with everybody, and they say, what's
Yes.
egalitarian? It's like, no, because some people require different things, right? And part of leadership is you have to learn the individual and what they
Hmm.
require. Some people like that. They want the direct. I need you to do
Yeah.
this. I need you to go over there. Well, all right, cool. And other people are like, hey man, how you doing? It's like,
Hmm.
everything good, brother? It's like, listen, man, I'm gonna need you to do this. I really appreciate it. Like they need that little extra softness,
Yeah.
or they need written instructions, or some people want 42 steps. Other people just want, man, just tell me what you want me to get done and let me do it. I'll do it. And a lot of that is learning people, and the women that were the leaders that men and women, especially women, I think genuinely cared and learned their people. right? They knew their people.
Yeah.
You know, and I think when you hear it's like, oh, they're like my kids or they're like my babies, it's like, it's not that they baby them, it's that they knew them like you would know your
Yes.
kids. And that's what it is. And so I learned that from, I think I learned because I spent more time. I was in fields where I've actually had more women bosses than I've had male bosses, you know. And so, yeah, I think like I got that from those women. And the women that weren't good bosses were kind of more masculine. They were more standoffish. They didn't know their people. It was very like, do as I say, like that kind of shit,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And they mirrored that sort of that kind of toxic masculine energy,
Mm-hmm.
and they just weren't as successful. Like their peers like that, you know. And you know, I would hear that from my male colleagues. You know, one of the things they tell me was like, "Oh, you got to come in, you got to be tough on these guys, and you got to act like he's like you got to know everything, and you know you can't take any shit, and blah 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 blah." And it's like I heard that in every station I ever worked in aviation, and it never worked. What always worked was you don't act like you know everything. You try to support and listen to what they need, and you know you have to be, you might have to be firm, but you need to be fair. You can't treat everyone equally, nor should you, but you got to treat everybody fairly.
Yeah.
That's what it
Equity,
is.
equity in
Yeah,
a situation. Yeah.
yeah. It's like
So,
some people need extra help, some people don't. You know.
so taking all that you've said so far, because that leads into a really probably hopefully a definition in your mind of what it means is what does intelligent masculinity mean to you? Because you've explained a
Yeah.
lot of the concepts of it, and you've explained a lot of what it isn't, in really good ways, telling us what it isn't while giving us an example of what it's for or what it's about. But what does it mean to you?
I think, I mean, like masculinity in a lot of ways is really just kind of a lens, right? It's more of a filter because anything I'm about to say, right, is you can apply to women as well. You
Yeah.
know, because if I go to the Stoics and say, "Oh, it's reason choice," right? You know, it's like, okay, well, why can't women use that? You know, and that I think is one of the kind of struggles is with the differences between masculine and feminine, or even non-binary, and why I think there's hangups about it is because it's like I joke around is like, can men only go to a barber? No. If you want to go to a salon and you want to get a salon cut and you want to get your hair dyed, go for it. Right.
Hmm.
That doesn't make you less masculine. You know, if you want to have ketchup on your hot dog, man, go for it. Right. That's, you know, that's fine. You know, but what ends up happening with that sort of, for that lens, what is, you get into this like, you know, oh, real man, a man's man chases women and, you know, has sex with a whole bunch of them. It's like, okay, well, no. What about the guy who's a dad who's literally has married a woman? They've been together for 30 years, and that's the only woman he's ever known. You know, biblically. You know, is that he
Hmm.
less of a man? No.
No.
You know, it's just a different. You know, so I think what for me masculinity is, and Marcus Aurelius talked about this, is like it's kindness. It's it's sort of gentle. It's gentleness in the sense of like I can do aggression when I need to. You know, I can
Hmm.
do I like I power lift. I like strength training. I like pushing my body to, you know, the limits of it. I like feeling strong. But again, so do women now. A lot of women are like my age and younger are weight training.
Hmm.
Does that make them any less feminine? No. You
No.
know, so I think like what scares a lot of these guys is masculinity is really just a label you put on yourself and you can front load it with whatever you want, and it's not based in oppression, right? The reason they want to go back to the 1950s and put all the women in the houses is because that's based on oppression. It's based on a imbalance of power dynamic. But if you don't have that and you just say, well, masculinity is whatever you want, right? As long as you're not hurting other people, and as long as you're not oppressing other people and you're not being exclusionary, but you define what masculinity is for you. Is it a beard? Is it is it all these because what is it?
Right? Yeah, is it bedazzling your beard if you have a beard? Is it getting a manicure or pedicure? Is it going to the spa or going to the gym
or painting your nails or whatever?
Or painting your nails or going into your garage or your workshop and covering yourself in sawdust while doing woodworking? Or is it all?
And again, all the things you mentioned, is like, except for maybe bedazzling your beard, women can do that too. They can go to the gym, they can go do woodworking, they can go do this. And that's where a lot of these guys run into is like, if masculinity is not based on this societal oppression of men and women's roles, then what is it?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, and Diogenes had this is a famous problem going all the way back to the Greeks when they were like, what is man? What is a human being?
And they come out with Diogenes Club.
Yeah. And I saw that and I was just like, first of all, I didn't get an invite.
You're getting an invite.
A little hurt. A philosophy major.
Yeah. Well, we didn't name it Diogenes Club until after we started our discussions. Walter suggested that. I
saw that and I was like, Diogenes Club.
And the worst part is I spelled it wrong the first time. I fucking added an extra S.
I love it.
And so I've corrected it. So the next show.
That's absolutely something like I would do that we would do. It's just like, it's like Frederic, what is man? You know how many times I pushed out a piece for the title? Something's wrong with the title.
Yeah. And you go back like 5 seconds later, you're like, shit,
damn,
I did that. And it's now in an email and everybody sees this.
Right. Yeah. You can't crawl it back. You're just like,
I guess I'm going to live with it.
Right. But no, I mean, but that's it is, like for me, masculinity it's still kind of rooted in this basic thing that I was raised that so many men seem to like, at least the manosphere don't need it, is like, you keep your word. It's about restraint, it's controlling your emotions, it's supporting your family, your spouse, your loved ones, your community, your nation, it's about perseverance and fortitude. It's taking the hits.
That's so let me give you my definition to add on to yours. Is the theme or the thesis that I've come up with around what intelligent masculinity as a just identity is. The thing with intelligent masculinity, like Fred said, it's a better peopling skill. It's a better humaning skill. It's not just for men. It's for everyone. It's from anyone in between. And just our friend, the opinionated ogre, is in the chat. He is sarcastic as shit. So just don't take everything he says seriously.
He literally has a sock puppet on his hand.
Yeah, he is a fucking sock puppet. So don't take him too seriously or literally in some of his comments. We know he's sarcastic as hell.
That's as hell, and it's fun. Right? Is like you look at someone like opinionated over, and I've known him for a long time before Substack. When I would submit pieces to the Daily Banter, and like back when I wrote satire for a little stint, and then I was like, burned out, But no, I mean, he runs a D&D campaign for his daughters, and teenage friends. And, he's a cool dude. He and I are cat bros where we're like, we got cats and I'll play a video game. Or, it's like, you look at how, like, I think he's a stay-at-home dad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that like, so, but, he comes out.
Isn't that super masculine? Like,
yeah.
To be like a caregiver and provide.
I was a caregiver to my sister and my mother for 4 years, man.
Supporting and defending is a huge thing in masculinity. So let me give you my definition as we derail ourselves on ogres very, very real, intelligent masculinity. We actually, Ogre will be on for one of the shows here coming up. So hell yeah. Because that's going to be an awesome discussion.
Right.
So my broad definition as a for better humaning, but as a man who is specifically trying to fix men right now, because other people are not the problem. Trans people are not the problem. Gay people, for a majority of them who are not like repressed into the closet because of like whatever patriarchal bullshit that Christofascism teaches them. Mike Johnson, Lindsey Graham, folks like that, Josh Hawley are the folks that should be outed because they fucking suck and are not part of the community and are actively hurting it. For the majority of the problem, it's men. So I am addressing men, not other genders, not other expressions of sexuality, because you're not the fucking problem here. We are.
Yeah.
And we need to fix it. And so I appreciate when people come into the comments too and say, like, hey, what about women? Or you could apply this to everyone. And I'm like, yes, you can, but I'm not trying to fix
you could.
all. You could. But here's our definition.
I mean, well, and that's the other thing too, is like this is kind of where I depart, where, you know, it's like, oh, Fred, you could be a feminist. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've read feminism. I understand it. I understand it as sort of a political or political and a psychological move, or I'm not psych, but philosophical movement and a political movement. And I understand what they're trying to achieve, but I'm not a feminist. And I don't say that because, you know, I don't support feminism, right? It's the same reason I'm not a Black Panther. I support the Black Panthers, but I'm like, Malcolm X said, the best thing you could do to beat white supremacy is to go into white spaces and tackle white supremacy there. Because you as a white man have access that he doesn't have, right? I'm not a feminist because I'm concerned with healthy masculinity. I'm going to go into masculine spaces and try to get those guys to get rid of toxic masculinity. That's my mission. That's my focus. Doesn't mean that you can't apply what I'm saying to women. If I say something that's intelligent or you like or whatever, man, take it, go for it. But I'm loath to get in to tell women how they need to be and operate in their space. You know, I'll support them. I'll back them up, you know, and, you know, defend them too, you know, because I share the virtue of equality and justice for everybody, you know, but I identify as masculine, as a man. And I look around and I'm like, yo, this is who's representing us? Nah, we can't have that.
Yeah.
There's plenty of work to do over here. I'm gonna stay over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch, as the Army taught me, I'm gonna watch my lane and I'm gonna stay in my lane and I'm gonna guard my lane. And that lane is fixing the shitheads on the masculine side. And as Yanni said in the chat, and I'm hoping that's what this becomes in the long run, this series or any of the similar ones that I do on Sick of This Shit publications, is this is the local men's club. This is your virtual men's club. Men, come into the chat, come hang out, like come talk. Like that's what I want.
Well, because the reality
us to be comfortable.
The reality is, you know, because I mean, part of this patriarchal, you know, this patriarchal crap is like, you and I are going to get more credibility saying than if a woman said the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the reality of it. And part of us is pointing out that hypocrisy and pointing out that, you know, patriarchal mindset is like, well, she just said it. Why can't, like, and I said the same thing. Why do you give me more credibility than her? Truth. I mean, the truth is truth, right? Well, she doesn't understand. But the thing is, I think there's, you know, somebody looks like me and talks like me and, you know, has been where I've been. And I've literally like led thousands of men, literally, throughout my aviation career. I understand how to talk to everybody from blue collar men all the way up to chief executives. And it's just, it's inherent in it. And so what you're trying to do is get them to change that mentality, right?
Yeah.
If you can just let them, if you can just get them to not like, just because you're chiseling away at deep cultural, psychological programming. Like, and it's tough to unpack. And the best that you're going to do is plant a seed that you hope takes fruit later. Takes fruit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why
and
I'm over here and saying, well, I'm a feminist, I'm a this. And let's be real. How many dudes say they're a feminist and turn out to be dirtbags?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so let's getting back on track for a second. My definition of what it means to me in a broad sense, on a better humaning scale for intelligent masculinity, is it's the refusal to outsource our accountability onto others and the discipline to live with the consequences of our values and actions. Which is better humaning is a lot of, Fred, is what you've been talking about. And so with that definition, with my framing and with yours that you've been that you have expanded upon what I just said in so many ways, is how do you model that in your life? What do you do to deliberately model this type of masculinity for yourself and for others in your life?
Man, I mean, part of it is like it's just giving folks the space to say something. Like there was somebody in the chat, I think Polly, her name was Polly. She's like, oh, well, would you rather not have women? Yeah, absolutely, come on here. It's not about being exclusionary. We're just talking about things from a male perspective, and hopefully if it gives you some insight onto, like, that's really what I want to do, is try to give, when I write a piece on masculinity, I try to do two things. One, I try to teach men that may not understand why they're doing what they're doing, because so much of it is just like ingrained. Like, you're not questioning about what you do. And the other thing is hopefully to give women some like context as to why men do what they do. I think a lot of it has to do with women are oppressed by the patriarchy, so they're all too aware of what, like, they're sort of stifled in certain ways of how they have to move, because they have to move with oppression, and men have privilege, right? Again, you pointed it out at the top of the show. Lawrence inevitably has to always explain what being gay means to him. We don't have to explain, because you live in it, right? It's like patriarchy means you don't have to explain being a man. Like, you don't have to explain, you don't have to apologize for taking up space. You don't have to apologize for stating your opinion. It's expected of you to state your opinion.
Yeah.
Right?
It's unmanly. It's unmasculine to hold your opinion back in an accountability-less society too.
Where if a woman does that, oh, she's bossy. Oh, she's this. Like, she's,
she's uppity. She's awful.
Yeah, she's this, she's that, blah, blah, right?
Blah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And so the thing is, like, the way I like, is when I, talk to you men, or I'll, or I'm in my life, it's like, what ways are you sort of deprogramming? You know what I mean? Right? Like, what ways are you, trying not to, like, can you give space, right? Can you hold it for people that normally don't have it? Can you, how do you act in public? Like, are you crowding in on this woman's space? Like, do you treat, like, like, what are do you treat them like in this sort of context, this patriarchal context? Are you trying to break that? And there's subtle ways you can do that. You know what I mean? Where it's just, it's like, I've talked to guys like, oh man, I want to hit on this chick. Yeah, but she's at work though. And it's like, yeah, but when else am I going to meet her? I was like, okay, but you got to be conscious of the fact she's working. She came here to work. Like, she didn't come here to get hit on. So just be, if you're going to do it, be a certain way about it. Like, don't, just, hey, saw you from over there. I was wondering if I could do it. It's like, no, okay, blah, blah, blah. Or just, I had a thing, like, I was in a coffee shop the other day. This was like 2 weeks ago, and I got my hair cut.
Yeah.
And there were two young ladies talking, and one of them, they had the the turquoise, which seems to be making a comeback, right? The turquoise and the silver. And my
Mm-hmm.
mom and dad used to wear those, right? Back in the 70s. And I turned to one lady, and she looked at me. I pointed at her. I said, yeah, I noticed your jewelry. So my mom used to, wear that. It's like, you got me thinking about my mom. So, and they're like, oh, and we had a nice little back and forth. I said, well, I just appreciate you. I just want to say, you know, yeah. And they said, okay. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like crowd the space or whatever, it's just having that sort of interaction, and kind of reading it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is enough. Like, I can come into this space a little bit. That's enough. And then
Mm-hmm.
you can come back. And I
Yeah.
think
No,
there's
I
a
like that a
courtesy
lot.
to that. Yeah, there's a courtesy to that. There's a, where you've got, I think, like, for men, and this is a long way for me to get to this point, is like, you have to be conscious of, when you're in a public space, it's not just there for you, right?
Yeah.
You don't get to just take a woman's time. You don't get to, just take up space emotionally, all, like, it's like, you need to be considerate of others.
Yeah. And there's no assumption behind it that the
Yeah.
conversation you're having is for an ulterior motive.
Correct.
Like, it's just, you want to have a conversation. You want to say hi. You want to
Yeah.
meet someone. Whatever that leads to whatever it is. But it's not that you're, like Courtney said, not assuming the interaction entitles you to anything further.
Right.
You're not
I
entitled
literally
to.
saw, two pretty young women talking. I looked at her jewelry, it reminded me of my mom and my dad. And I noticed it. And, she made eye contact with me. And I thought, you know what? I just want to tell her that. I was like,
Mhm.
hey, this made me have it's nice. I had a nice little moment because of what you were wearing. I appreciate it. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah. You probably added to her day.
That was the intention. I mean, it was nothing more than that,
Yeah.
and, and I think like for a lot of guys, like, they've lost this moving through society and being courteous, like courtesy and that kind of stuff and just having those little interactions is really just to try to make, somebody's day a little bit better, like, in your community or whatever you're doing. Like, you hold the door for somebody, and, you show some respect, or you have these little friendly banters, and then that's it, and I think, like, men need to stop moving through the world entitled, world
Yeah.
doesn't know you nothing, you know it's
Yeah.
just and that's not to be mean about it. It's just, stop moving through the world entitled. You get that from this patriarchal bullshit mindset that women owe you this, they owe you a smile, they owe you their time, they owe you their emotional labor, they owe you that. No, they don't. And if you can't hack it on your own, you need to get better. I don't know what else to tell you, you know
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah, this weird notion of, like, well, I want a girlfriend so she'd cook. Why can't you cook, man? I could cook. I had to learn how to cook because I was single. If I was waiting on a woman, man, I wouldn't have been eating good for a long time. And how pathetic is
Yeah.
that? You can't cook, you can't clean, you can't do your own laundry. Like,
Yeah.
that's where the weakness comes in, man. You know?
Yeah. Like, you aren't even trying to do the basic necessities for yourself. So
You're a grown ass
thinking
man.
on
You
that.
can't even take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, so thinking on that, because it's important, at least in my mind, for like how we grow and how we build on this, is how do you self-reflect and self-evaluate, to make sure that you are growing intentionally, and giving yourself space to not hurt yourself when you reflect on things you did wrong, but give yourself correction. How do you give yourself that space with self-reflection and self-evaluation?
I think, man, like, it's interesting because, like, for the Stoics, they called it putting the day up for review, right? Seneca wrote in the evening, Epictetus would write in the morning. you know. John Stuart Mill talked about you gain wisdom from perspective and experience, which basically is, reviewing. So, you have an interaction. I think context works well, like say you have an interaction and it doesn't go well, or, or something happens, or you're not your best self, or, and you go, okay, maybe you met somebody out and you tried to talk to, you know, uh, let's say you tried to talk to a woman and you got shot down and you took it as she was rude, right?
Yeah.
So you were, I'd tell a guy, guys, oh man, because then you get in this, man, all these females, like you start hearing that phrase, right? All these females, blah blah blah. It's like, well, maybe she was having a bad day and it had nothing to do with you, right? You caught her on the wrong day. Or maybe you didn't know how you were presenting, and maybe you were anxious and nervous and you came off a certain way, and like it's nobody's fault. You just have to say, okay, well, what could I have done differently? That's where the ownership and accountability comes in. Instead of blaming an entire other group or blaming that other person, you first look and say, what could I have done differently, right? Or you say, I don't need to lay any blame on this situation. It just it is what it was. It's like, you met somebody, conversation didn't go well, you got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's somebody and you fell back into that sort of, role of, where you weren't your best self for whatever reason. And you come back, you say, hey, I'm sorry about that. I was acting like blah, blah, blah. And then you try to make changes, right? You say, okay, well, all right, what led to that? Is there anything I can, do differently? Like maybe I don't, maybe it's in a relationship, right? And you're with you get a little snippy with your spouse because she's trying to talk to you and you're into something, and you're trying to just get her to go away, right? Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, something like that, right? But it's better for you to just say, you know what? She's obviously needing something. Why don't you just take a minute and stop, pause what you're doing, and say, hey, what's up? And pay her your full attention, right? Maybe start doing that. Maybe shift, maybe like make that change. Or, you know what? I've been taking my spouse for granted. Like, I've left her to do the cooking and the cleaning and the this, it's like, all right, man, I need to step up. I need to do this,
Yeah.
Like some of this stuff is like feigned helplessness, right? Like I remember this one piece I wrote when I was writing long pieces. Like I remember it was a video and the women had a very different reaction to it than men. And what it was so the wife cooked like 4 things on the stovetop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she tells the husband, go ahead and put it away. I'm gonna get the kids ready for bed, blah, 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 right? And, so what did he do? He took the food that was in the pots, right? And just put it in the fridge, And so the husband's response was, well, she got mad. She didn't tell me exactly what she wanted and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, brother, okay. When has the wife ever done that in the house? Right? Never. Because she always puts it in the containers and then puts that in the fridge. And and good damn well, I said, man, this guy's full of BS. And I said, because good damn well, the moment you put that in the containers, now you got dishes to clean up.
Yeah.
You didn't want to clean up the dishes. That's what it was. You didn't want to do that extra work, right? But if you'd actually said, man, I don't want to do this, but I don't want my wife to do it either. So, all right, let me do this. Just let me get it done. Yeah. That's and that's the sacrifice, right? Is like, I don't want to do this. I'd rather go play video games. Or I'd rather do this, but I'm going to do it because my wife told me she needed this by saying, hey, can you do this? Well, go do it.
Yeah. Or just because you see it needs to be done.
Thank you.
Right? I literally, before this show, literally loaded the dishwasher because it
Right.
needed to be done. I was like, shit,
That's
this needs
it.
to be done. I work from home. My wife doesn't. And so things at home, if it needs to be done, it should probably be my job to do it, right? Like
Right.
I'm the one here. I should be cleaning it. I should be making sure it's good. So when my wife gets home from work, who is tired, because I understand that experience of being exhausted coming home from work and
Right.
not really wanting to do anything. Whereas my condition for work right now is less onerous and demanding than hers. I can do physical things at home. I can do cleaning. I can get laundry done. Maybe I don't fold the laundry. Maybe she folds the laundry, but I wash all the laundry and do dishes. Maybe that's what I do and cook more. Like it's
Right.
easy things because they're just things that I should know how to do anyway. I just need to do it on a larger scale. Like the difference between cooking for one person and cooking for say four people
Oh
isn't
man.
that isn't that much. Is you
No.
just take the same thing you were already going to cook and you
And make
make
more of it.
a little bit more of it, and it's probably going to be good if you've been eating it for most of your life and you have decent taste buds and you like things more than salt and pepper. um like we got to break that, white people. Like come on y'all, that stereotype exists for a reason. And fuck, like bros,
But I
like
mean,
even
but
like the gym culture dudes, like come on guys, you can eat spices, they don't add calories.
they
Like
do though.
fuck you.
That's it. They some of them do. But like, but
Some of
no,
them,
man.
okay.
It's. But yeah, but no, but it's dude. It's like this, man. It's always the guys. My job is to defend and protect the women and die if necessary. You won't even do dishes, right? So how you gonna talk all this madness of I'm gonna protect and defend and stand up against the but you won't even do dishes. You won't even fold laundry. You won't even change a dirty diaper. How you gonna stand up to these fictitious terrorists that are gonna take your door? Come on, man. Stop it. Right? You
Yeah.
know.
And like Ogre says in the chat, like from my heritage too, like in Jewish and French is, or like Russian and French, and like that side of it is we cook for an army. Like, what the fuck is cooking for one? What the fuck is cooking for two? You either cook for one or you cook for all. Like, whatever all means is like you cook for all. Is there a
Yeah.
box of spaghetti? Well, we don't measure that shit out. We just dump the box in because we cook for all and spaghetti's good the
Dude,
next
that's
day
so
too.
much food. Like
Oh my
you
god,
cook
that's
so much. Oh my god.
dude, dude, that is so much spaghetti.
So
Did
much food.
like so much fucking spaghetti.
Well,
But
I mean, it's just like, oh my
we
goodness.
feed like you feed an army, and like
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna have like just my kids in the house or are we feeding my kids' friends? Like, are they coming in and hanging out and having dinner? Like, if they do, okay, I've made the food, so it may as well be eaten. Um, as long as I have enough, yeah, go ahead, have some. Like, eat up, whatever, man. Food is food. It's,
Thousand
but like,
percent, man. 100%.
it's. I'm glad that you have such a. So glad that you have such like a good, like just understanding that it's a humaning project. Like what
Yeah.
intelligent masculinity is humaning. It's like teaching men how to human. Which, come on, y'all. Like, if
I
why
mean,
do we
even
still have to do this? But I'm glad that we're doing it,
yeah,
because if we don't do it, the void gets filled with shit, and we can't leave that void open. I want to
just dumb
switch.
stuff like there's no courtesy or get back or anything. Where like, you know, how many
Mm-hmm.
times dudes go out, you running home, hey, I'm gonna stop and get something, and you don't get nothing for your woman. What? Like, you know what she wants? Like, you should. You know,
Yeah.
how hard is it to send a text? Hey, you want? I'm stopping here. You want something? Right? You know, and if she doesn't respond, be like, I'll just get her something. You know, she don't want to. I eat it later. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know, or hey, baby, I'm busy today, but I'm thinking about you. You know, like just little things, man. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like a lot of dudes think like, oh, I got the woman. I'm
Yeah.
until the day comes, I gotta take the bullet for you. I'm not doing shit. Like what? Like,
Yeah. That's not a partner. That's
No.
not a that's not a that's a servant or a slave that you want. You don't want a
Well, I mean,
partner.
honestly, yeah, Larissa Reinhart, she does women in politics, and she broke it down. She's like, so many men are messed up because, they thought they basically just get free domestic labor, and women are like, nah, we're good, we want a partner, and it's like, gasp, like, bro, my thing to men is like, don't you want a partner, right? Like, I mean, don't you want someone to like share your life with that, is more than just I guess a lot of men don't. That's the sad part, because I mean, to me, how are you going to come into your full humanity if you're dehumanizing someone else? That's the thing.
Like, yeah, and I'm gonna engage in this conversation in the chat that's going on right now because I feel like it for a second before we go into the whimsical side of this in the last few questions is I'm gonna respond to this as of guys are programmed to not have just one woman. Let's be honest, we
Oh
need to spread our
God,
seed.
man,
No,
stop it! Get
dude,
out of here.
dude, bro, you are literally in a conversation about intelligent masculinity. That is a space for people to learn and unlearn the shit that you just said. Like, I looked through your profile because the way you came into this conversation, and you have some anti-Semitic as shit stuff on your profile. You're lucky I've let you
Oh,
be in this. You're lucky I've let you be in this conversation as long as you have been, because you haven't said some terribly crazy stuff since that first entrance. But
bro,
or
are you a
whatever
teen?
you are.
Bro, are you? I'll tell you what.
Are
Are
you
you
a
a
bot?
teenager? Are you a
Are you a
teenager? Have you
teenager?
ever? Have you ever been with a woman? Like, have you ever like? Because everybody that's a cave, like a basement dwelling, too afraid to say hi to a woman out in public, they all say the same thing. We're there to spread our seed. Okay, okay, manosphere warrior. Sure, buddy.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
like,
and there's a difference between being against Israel and being anti-Semitic.
thank you.
And you are being
We literally just
anti-Semitic in
talked about
comments.
that at the start,
Yeah.
right? Or like, you don't blame an entire group of people for the actions of certain shitty ones, right? There's a difference between not liking what Netanyahu's doing in Gaza and, the folks that are trying to commit genocide.
Yeah.
It's like,
And so we won't give you any more time or space in
no,
this conversation. And thank you for entering our chat and trying to derail and showing what it looks like to be an unintelligent piece of shit. And so, bye.
when this comes back out, go look at it again. Take some notes, bro. Like, get educated.
Yeah. Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
Bye, dude. So
Spread your seed.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
From Commander Cool's page, America has veered since World War II, World War One, but I blame the Jews. Like, anti-Semitic. That is anti-Semitism. That is some anti-Semitic shit right there.
Commander
Literally blaming an entire group of people, lumping us all in as one individual and saying, "Oh, I blame the Jews." Fuck you, dude. Yeah, you probably have the micro ego syndrome of Stephen Miller, and you probably smell more like a taint than anybody else. Like, you probably think that wiping your butt would make you gay, and so you don't. You're that type of person. So I've already blocked him, but I'm just going on because I can. So being a little bit more.
Like, what a loser, bro. Like,
what a fucking asshole. Trolls.
Dude, like, come on, spread your seed. What
I kind of wish I had like Dana Dubois on for a show right now when someone said that shit, because she would have or Melissa Corrigan. The way those two women respond to things is like the most on point rhetoric and like way of speaking just yeah, go if you're in the chat, scroll up and block Commander Cool on principle because he's an anti-Semitic piece of shit and he's showing you what unintelligence looks like and stupidity. Whereas Fred and I have been talking for an hour and a half on what it looks like to be intelligently masculine and to be a new type of masculinity that isn't domineering. It's not about domination. It's a lot about control. It's all about
Yeah.
control. And this part is the fun part. Not that the rest hasn't been fun, because this is one of my favorite series that I've started so far, because I just get to talk to friends and people who are and let them have stories and share their stories. But this is the fun part. Is so based on the song "I'll Make a Man Out of You," the clarion call for men, the "Let's Go Girls" of men's songs is. I've got 4 questions for you.
Okay.
Based off the chorus of the music is to you, either as an intelligently masculine man, what does it mean to be as swift as a coursing river?
As swift as a coursing river. Well, you know, like the interesting thing about like that is like there's the Zen, I always think back to the Zen analogy, right? Where, you know, for Zen, it's you try not to fight the river, right? You just kind of try to steer your way through it, right? You steer your way through the rapids, you steer your way through down the river, right? And the thing about it is, man, is like life is gonna continue onward no matter what you do. Like you can't stop life from flowing, you know. And so what you're trying to do is like whether when you're in the river and it's swiftly moving, right? And it's coursing, it's going here, is like you're just you try to don't panic, keep going with it, and pilot that boat, your boat, or whatever you're doing the best you can. And that's what it means. Yeah, that's me.
I love it. I like that. Next, how do you embody the force of a great typhoon?
Man, I think like there's times that I have let, you know, my anger run away with me, and like a great typhoon, it has come in and just destroyed a lot of things. And that was the you know, the toxic masculinity coming in. But once that's done, you can rebuild. It's never the same afterwards, right? You know, but you can rebuild. The sun will come out and the typhoon is gone, you know, so you have to pick up the pieces. So hopefully, you know, the typhoons are less, you know, maybe you get them down to a nice little squall and you don't do, you know, and it goes out to sea where it doesn't hurt anybody, you know.
Yeah.
But,
direct that typhoon.
Yeah, so I'm trying not to be a typhoon anymore, you know. Like I'm getting close to 50. Hopefully I'm trying to put my typhooning days behind me, you know.
Yeah. Hey,
unless it's for fascists. Unless it's for fascists, oh baby, you get the typhoon, you know.
That's fair. That's fair. You can unleash on the fascists.
Oh yeah, fascists get the typhoon.
Well, how are you as strong as a raging fire?
Yeah, like for that, I could go with the same analogy, you know, that I use for typhoon. But there's a you know, great quote from Marcus Aurelius that, you know, everything, like when the obstacle becomes the way, everything becomes fuel for the fire. Some paraphrasing, that's something similar to that.
Yeah.
And so what I try to take in my life is, you know, that, you know, a fire provides light, it provides warmth, you know, and I mean, essentially, it in some ways it can provide life, you know. If it rages out of control, then you have a problem. It can burn everything out. But if you have it, even if it's raging and it's directed and it's in control, everything that you have becomes fuel for that. And so the thing is, like, take everything you have in your life and direct it toward, put it as fuel for that fire. whether it's bad, whether it's good, whatever happens to you, try to learn from it. You know, try to make it fuel for the fire.
I think that's
And
awesome.
and never stop raging. You know,
Rage
rage
against
against
the machine.
rage against the machine, rage against the dying of the light. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, it's like, you know, the quote I love from Bodie Brockus and, you know, The Wire is like, you know, I'll do what I gotta. Just don't ask me to live on my fucking knees, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's,
No, I think
yeah.
that's great. Is to keep that raging fire, is feed it. Is feed it, is use it, is grow it. Raging
Yeah.
fires don't have to be out of control. They can just be raging hot, red, in control.
Yeah. If
Or
you,
blue.
and
Hot
that's
and
the essence of
blue.
life.
Because
You
that's
know?
where the heat comes from, is when it's
Yeah.
hot, it's blue. Hot
Yeah.
fires are blue
I mean, it's
fires.
passionate, right? I mean, it's passion, you know, like don't lose your passion. Whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is in life, like keep that fire stoked for it, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
whatever you find your passion to be, like take it to the end, even if it changes. But be passionate about something, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
And this one is going to be a good one for you because you have some mystery about you. Is how are you as mysterious as the dark side of the moon?
All I have is Pink Floyd playing in my head when I read that, you know. I think like the interesting thing about that is like the dark side of the moon is, you know, if I want to get a little poetic about it, it's like there's always more to somebody than you see, even us, right? I might be able to be as authentic as I can with you, or you know, do as much real talk as I can.
Yeah.
But there's the it's not necessarily dark, but there's things that you're never going to see and never going to know. And I think if you take that to other people, right? Because often
Mhm.
when we meet with people, and this is what I was, you know, you tell with men or whatever, is like in your dealings with women or your dealings with other men or dealings with other people, is you say, oh, well, because how many times has somebody said, well, she said this, obviously she must hate me or she must be doing it. And they'll make all these assumptions and extrapolate on this little sliver of it, you know, that they could see. And it's like, well, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. You know, don't act like you know everything about everybody.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes, I mean, you know, like, I'm not saying give people, everybody the benefit of the doubt, because, you know, if an ICE agent's coming at me with, you know, that's all I need to know.
Yeah.
But for somebody else, man, you know, for like, you know, you think maybe they're going through a rough day, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's that, you know, like, so everybody has a side you won't see. They're fighting battles you'll never know. And so treat people with kindness and empathy, because they're going through the same thing. They're dealing with the same stuff you are, which is unseen battles, you know.
Mhm. We're more alike than we do different. We
Yep.
just don't know it because we don't ever talk about those battles that we fight that are all the
100%.
same. I think that's a great way to end out the discussion on this. Like that was such a powerful way to close it out on such a cool, like such an just simple question. That's like, well, that's the hardest of the questions of the Mulan ones, is what does it mean to be mysterious? And I think you put a great conclusion on it,
Yeah.
and giving us that similarities, or how do we find our similarities? And one of the things to also thank you. There's a friend in the chat, neurodivergent hodgepodge. Please go subscribe to her. She's doing some. She and Sushi Philiac are doing a great show on mindfulness and discussions called Mind Haven on Sundays. And we're trying to also get Mark Ruffalo's attention, and see if he'd be interested, because he seems like someone who would fit into this
Yeah.
series in a way.
He's an intelligent
The work that he
bastard, dude.
does, and I want to, and so Neuro is starting a campaign to tag um, Mark Ruffalo and things, and get like Shane and others on and talk to Mark Ruffalo about like support systems and intelligent masculinity. I think that would be freaking cool.
Yeah.
And support my friend Frederic Poag for everything that you've been doing. But you're also just a good friend. And I've been
Yeah.
able to learn a lot from you and just around you. And I appreciate all
Thanks.
that you're doing and the friendship you've
Well, you
provided,
guys are
you've
doing.
given.
You guys have been great, man. Like, Banner and Backbone, and Fire you and Shane with Palantir Talk and all the things you guys are doing. Like, man, it's been kind of amazing to watch you guys grow. It's been like an honor. You know,
Thanks.
like I wax and wane a little bit. I'm trying to, but I mean, just watching you guys stick with it, man. It's been pretty dope. You guys are doing real good. So,
Thanks. Well, how can
yeah.
people support you? Because promote yourself. Give
You can
yourself
find
the
me.
benefit, brother.
You can find me on Substack at Mrs. from Middle Aged Man. I write, do lives. Best way to support is just check out the newsletter. If you like it, share it. It's free. I made it free. The paid subs is an option. It does help support the work, obviously, but you don't have to. I understand. I wanted to make it free for folks that, times are tough. So I want you to be able to, hey, it's like, hey, like and share it.
Yep.
If that's the least you do for me, if that's all you can do, hey, I love it. I'm humbled by that. So yeah.
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man.
And I
Same to
appreciate.
you.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate what you guys are doing. What you've done, what you are helping us by, and yourself credit. Um, and get attention of as I go in and out of
it's that Minecraft, man. It gets you.
Yeah, it's that Minecraft. God, those kids just taking over all the internet. They're stealing all the interwebs. They're taking all the threads and they're taking it from my computer. They're just hoarding that in their chests of Minecraft.
That's really what your publication is about. You're just tired of all your kids taking all the bandwidth.
I'm taking the bandwidth back, kids.
Give it my
yeah, come support me. Come support me at Sick of This Shit Publications. Come like, share, restack, subscribe. All the free, everything's free. Paid subs help, but everything is always going to be free. And I just released my first composition on here in full for everyone to listen to. Lento Vivo. It's a flute trio. Recorded in 2011. Take 4 minutes out of your day and relax and listen to it. I'll tag it in the show notes. And thank you everyone for being here with me and with Fred. It has been such a fun almost 2 hours. And a great way to spend the afternoon. I look forward to hanging out with you again soon, dude.
Thanks, man.
And for everyone in the audience, thank you for being with us. Thank you for putting up with that troll in the chat. Thank you everyone who is respectful and real and part of this community. Appreciate you all and all the new folks here. Thank you for joining us. This is Sick of This Shit Publications. I'm Nick Paro, not your dad, and I've been joined by my good friend Frederic Pogues from Missive from a Middle-Aged Man, and this is Intelligent Masculinity. And I will see y'all for another episode of Intelligent Masculinity on Thursday morning. I've got 2 back-to-back on Thursday morning.
Wow.
So it's going to be a great morning. There'll be shorter conversations. I got to keep them to an hour each.
There you go.
I got to rein myself in. So thank you, everyone.
That's why you had me today, because it's like we don't rein ourselves.
Oh no. That's why I do. Like, I know I've picked specific people for Tuesday afternoons, because I was like, if I ain't got nothing afterwards, some of these can ramble, and I want ramblers. Like, that's where we get fun stories. That's where we learn a lot.
That's me.
So Thank you, everyone, for being with us. This has been so much fun, as always. Look for the write up here that's going to be coming out with the show notes. I'll be doing a write up on our discussion, and then this will feed into our larger discussion and article series on intelligent masculinity that I'm writing. So look for quotes from Fred and tags from him that are going to be coming up in some near articles I've got. After this week's interviews, I'm going to be adding to the article series so that we've got some more voices. So thanks, y'all. We're done being sick of this shit here, and we're doing this shit. And we're learning
Absolutely.
intelligent masculinity on the way and better humaning.